Hello everyone, my name is Trevon from freestudiotime.com, and today we're going to go over the two different ways I implement a stereo widener into my mix. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So what is a stereo widener? This is a tool that broadens the perceived width of sound material in our mix. In other words, it gives our mix space. There's two ways I like to implement stereo wideners. Number one, in my master track, I like to add a stereo imager on my master track because when you do it, it gives the listener a more surround sound experience. Using an imager also makes the vocal and the instrumental feel as if they're closer together versus without it. So let me show you how I use this in my master track. All right, so everyone, as you can see right here, I have my Ozone imager opened up. This little part right here is our frequency spectrum. The cool part about using Ozone imager is that it allows you to separate the frequency ranges up, so you can add the proper width to each frequency range, so the width doesn't sound like it's just all over the place and it's consolidated to a specific frequency range. Makes everything sound a lot more well-rounded and balanced. How I like to use this is first by separating the bands to their proper frequency range. So the low mids right here, I stopped it at about 160, and keep in mind that normally I would stop my low end at anywhere from around like 120 to about 140 hertz. But since this is not only for my vocals but for the instrumental as well, I wanted to account for all the low end that I may be getting for both of those together. So I went ahead and went up to 160 hertz on that. For my low mids, I wanted to make sure I'm getting all the low mid frequency ranges that I can possibly get. So I went ahead and went from 160 to 2000 hertz. So that's a nice broad range. And I also wanted to make sure that I'm not missing any important information from the bulk of my vocal, which is where this frequency range holds all that information, as well as the high mids. High mids hold a lot of the bulk of the information from the vocal and as well as the instrumental as well. So these are the most important frequency ranges right here, and my high end from 10,000 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So down here, stereo width, these little knobs right here control how much width I'm getting for each specific frequency range across the spectrum. Down here for my low end right here, you always want to make sure this gets the least, since it can easily take over the rest of these frequency ranges up here with a lot of muddiness and crazy sounds. The second is our low mids. Since this is the bulk of our vocal, we want to make sure that we're not giving this too much width, or it'll just sound like our vocals are pretty much spread all the way across the stereo image and not consolidated into one spot, which will sound really weird if it was spread out across the stereo image. So we want to make sure we got that under control by giving it just a little bit of width. The high mids, we want to just give it a tiny bit more width, but we still also want to keep in mind that this is also another major part of our vocals and just like what we're going to be hearing out of this song. So we also want to make sure that we don't give this too much, and we give the most width to the high end, since this is really responsible for the shimmer and really just making our vocal sound a lot more interesting. Over here, stereo wise, this whole stereo wise knob right here, it really controls how much stereoization I'm getting across all these frequency ranges according to where my knobs are at right here. And recover sides, what this is responsible for is compensating for the loss of gain we get on all the sides of the stereo image when we use the stereoize knob right here, because as we stereoize, the more we stereoize for this whole entire song, the more gain we're losing on all sides of the stereo image. So this recover sides right here really serves as kind of like a makeup gain to account for all of that. And let me show you how everything sounds. It's a really nice way to implement a stereo widener into your master. I'm going to show you how it sounds with it versus without it.
Yeah. The night's gotten colder, we're approaching the fall. I slowly got a little bored and I don't test but I call. I'm to the point of questioning the essence of my own nature. That's why it's nice to sit and write about your life on the paper. Ever feel like you're a candy that's been drained of its flavor? That's how I felt when working shifts and little tips as you waited. Now I struggle searching endlessly for constant relief. And all these bad habits, I wish I could show them. Yeah. The night's gotten colder, we're approaching the fall. I slowly got a little bored and I don't test but I call. I'm to the point of questioning the essence of my own nature. That's why it's nice to sit and write about your life on the paper. Ever feel like you're a candy that's been drained of its flavor? That's how I felt when working shifts and little tips as you waited. Now I struggle searching endlessly for constant relief. And all these
So the second way I like to implement a stereo widener is on stacked vocals. This is because whenever we stack vocals, the goal is to make specific parts of the song stand out and give it shine. When adding a stereo widener to stacked vocals, it sounds like it's spreading your vocals evenly across the stereo image, which in turn fills your headphones and creates a beautiful take. So let me show you how to do this. So let's come over here and put a stereo widener on our stacks. So how I like to use this is by coming over here to a totally separate insert and routing all my stack tracks to this one insert right here. And we're gonna route this insert right here with all of our stack tracks routed to this one, and we're gonna route this right here. We're gonna route this to the vocal bus, so we don't really have to worry about creating a whole bus with a bunch of different plugins. But the main reason I like to do this is because it eats a lot of CPU the more buses you make. So I wanted to make sure that I like save the amount of CPU I'm using. It just makes everything a lot easier for you in the future when it comes to saving CPU. Anyways, the only thing I really like to add over here for this insert is an equalizer, and that's mainly to make sure that my stacks are sitting behind the leads and not overpowering anything. I already have the stacks turned down, but I want to mainly add this EQ to give that extra layer of depth behind my vocals. So let's go over here and do it. Only thing I did on this one, I kept it very minimal, very simple. I took out the low end with a high pass filter, and I went over here and I took out the high end by a very little bit. I took it out by negative by 1.2 decibels. So I kept it very minimal. And after I added that EQ, I came over here and I added my equalizer, my imager. So let's go over here and add the proper presets for this imager. And the only reason I added a preset, by the way, is mainly just so I don't have to make all the adjustments I was gonna make anyways. And it's pretty much just doing it for me. I just have to make a little bit of tweaks to it. I'm gonna bring it up to actually I'm gonna bring it up to 120, 127. We're gonna bring this one right here to 2K. Bring that up to 2K. Bring this one up right here to 10K. Boom. Last thing I need to do is give this a little bit of width right here. Give my high mids a little bit more width, my high end a little bit more width. 14. I'm gonna give it a little bit more stereoization. Bring it up to 8. I'm not really gonna worry about recovery size too much. And this is pretty much all we needed to do. I have everything routed to the vocal bus. Let's see how it sounds.
I wish I could shove them beneath.
I've no sense of self, what can I realize? As I scream out loud and I wonder why.
So the stack is on that I've no sense of self, and then just like listen to the difference between that specific take and the as I scream out loud and I wonder why. Listen to the difference between that first one and that second one. The first one is where we have the imager on there, and you can really hear how much it fills up the headphones.
I wish I could shove them beneath.
I've no sense of self, what can I realize? As I scream out loud and I wonder why. Guess that's just moment
habits, I wish I could shove them beneath.
I've no sense of self, what can I rely? As I scream out loud and I wonder why. Guess that's.
But alright everyone, that is how I like to implement a stereo widener or a stereo imager into my vocal mixes. Now, if you're a beginner and want to learn how to mix your vocals inside FL Studio 2024, click the link in my bio and I'll give you a detailed step-by-step guide on how to do just that. But I hope you got a lot of value out of this video, everyone. I'll see you all in the next one.